Hello and welcome, and it is that of Crypto Day. It is the end of the 25th day, and it's 7:53, I think, p.m. So that means this day will close in about 7 minutes, or when the video is over, a new day tick will already start. For there is 6 minutes and 31 seconds left in the day. So here we look at the 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin, which has had this long, big decline, falling from about 8,600 close to 73. That's a $1,300 basis point difference. That's not 20%, but it's closer to 20 than 10. There has been a few levels of support. This one, and then this one again. It's a really choppy short-term market ever since this has been going down. But it's got to get at least above this key area before you can start talking about anything on a bullish level outside of the extremist short-term time frame, shorter than this one, of course. It's going to be big. It's probably going to be a fast move of about $300-400. $500 probably relatively quick, and that's minimum, breaking down below this support. So the 7,300 to this range in here. A lot of the setups do look very bearish, but until such, I'm going to show you the 15-minute time frame, that it's almost like a choppy back and forth because failed move, fast move, yada yada yada. So we're on the 15, and looking at this, we can see we have this key support level that it had, that had this nice rally ultimately failing. So therefore, coming down to here and supporting this, that's the standard of a deep correction. Successful correction, of course. And if it corrects through price, I don't care if it's two red big ones like this. I have oftentimes seen spots where it goes down here and then up she goes, comes to this resistance later, and then does whatever it does, then later breaking this to the upside. I've seen that several times. So if it wanted to have that big move, well, this is where it needed to find support. Okay, so with that being said, when we look at this, I'm going to do the whole typical again. That's the key level of support. Even you can say here, this is the range of support. It clearly broke below it, and its instant move went right back to the big resistance that it had. I still think that's a big number right now, or this resistance line is still in place. So it gets above it, and it does all this. An extended box time in here, a very quick one below here. So here's where we're looking at, okay, this is not bullish at all. It's after lunch. We're leaving the 18, and it grinds its way, making lower lows, lower highs. But still, that's the correctionary move that you want to see from this low and this high. But the fast move I would expect would be to at least the previous low. So you get this rally. Okay, that's normal in bear markets. You get up to the 18, it's going to fail, right? Well, this is the fail move right in here. Okay, this is all normal. And even these moves until in here, this is like, okay, we're just going to go to the 18 average and then roll over. No, it didn't roll over. When a bearish setup is in place, to me, it's either going to work out two ways more times than not, especially when you're really good at it and you can find good times where it looks extremely great to go for the market to go higher or lower. In this case, it was looking very big to go lower. But when we look at this beforehand, before the move happened, this is where you're coming up to the declining 18 lows. I've seen it resist this spot so many times. And you got to give the benefit of the doubt pretty much to the 18 highs. And it can pierce above it a little bit. But that's more than a little bit. It could be setting up another one of those typicals, though, too. That's the way these markets have been. It's very choppy right now on the short-term time frame. So if you're planning to buy low, sell high within it, it should be working beautifully for you recently, where maybe you do stuff like, well, you'd sell up in this range, buy back here, sell here, what you bought down here, buy back here, what you sold up there, maybe sell here, what you bought here, buy it back, now you're selling it again, and you'd buy it back if it comes to 70, say 4 or whatever. And that's what these choppy markets, or that's the choppy markets like this, is what that strategy is ideal towards. But it has managed to get well above this in that very choppy market. So when I showed on the outset, see, all this short-term stuff is very meaningless. It really does need to, well, this is the wrong time frame I need. It's really going to come down to this range. And that will be it for the Bitcoin chart. But actually, before I do change the chart, the reason why the setup of down a bit and just going like this is more bearish than bullish is because when you look at it from this perspective, overall, even though it's had a great rally on the 15-minute time frame, it still has a lot to go, even if it gets to the 18 average of highs. That's how bearish the setup really does look right now. And yeah, that will finish what I want to cover on Bitcoin. Let's move this on to Litecoin against the dollar. And it's doesn't got a bullish pattern, at least short term. After this decline down, how many straight periods? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive periods down, going from about 136 with the low down to 116. What's it done since? 3 consecutive green candles up to the 18 lows. 2 pause candles staying within the low. And then another one bringing it noticeably lower there, below such. And it is followed through with 2 periods. 1 going back to its low and 2 just staying within it. So that's definitely amongst the bearish situation. On the daily time frame, it still has yet to catch up to the 18 lows from this decline. And its key support level, well, it's reached it to the upper end. You have a lower level at 110. Then you have this lower level at 107, matching the lows from February. 100. Normally I would give psychological numbers the benefit of the doubt, because usually it coincides with key numbers, but I won't here. I don't think 100 means much at all, because to me there is no key level of support south of 107 until we get to about 93. But if you're like me and you've got, well, if you got something, whether it's a small or a large amount, trying to buy them back. I mean, I sold a little bit of the Litecoin and Bitcoin with buy orders ready, but for Litecoin, My buy orders are in the high 80s. That's the area in which I feel that it would go to breaking down below this level. But it does concern me when I see a market or a chart have the pattern, this point A, the triangle from this up move and then down. Up move and down. So you have the second triangle, then the third one up and then down. Each high has been weaker each time. And the same level of support has been successful. So it's the symmetrical kind of or descending triangle, and it could do another one again where maybe it'll come back down to like say 110 or 109, 108. And then this time, instead of rallying up to this key fib level at 171-ish, 180, maybe it'll only go up to 140 or 138. I'm not trying to exactly predict what it's going to do. Rather, if the situation comes down to it, that if it comes here, then 88 would be the buy. And then if it's going to go below that, I got another key number in at around 67, which would mean the buy for me would be around 62. And what you do, that's obviously your own risk and your own reward. Now, if you were somebody who wanted to get into cryptos, and you seriously want to get in, and you have an opportunity to do so now, your finances are set where you can buy, and you can be ready to go. Especially if you feel you are good at trading, or you want to try to put your skills in place. But you do believe that this downtrend is happening. And with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin loses more than half of its value to 3, it's pretty safe to assume that Litecoin would probably lose more than half of its value as well. Not guaranteed, but it's probable. Because it's possible that Bitcoin go down to 3, I guess, and maybe the Litecoin BTC chart goes back higher again, and Litecoin only goes down to, like, say, 75 or something. But I'd have to think, when I look at this in place, and given the big rally that it's had, that the markets oftentimes come back to where they came from. The highs near 2014 is matched up with the key number at 4019. But half its value from 120 is 60. And half of Bitcoin's value from now, well, just something to think about anyway, that those are most certainly areas in which it could go down to, and still technically, possibly, well, it could be bullish thereafter, meaning what's the deepest price you'd want to see correct from point A to point B? And when you have a situation when the rally moves where just the rally up to 100 was spectacular, but to only correct this, you don't want to give a higher low up here. That is not normal. But technically speaking, that it's unlikely. You'd have to think if it's somewhere around here. I would think even 65 to 40 does mathematically make sense on a bullish level. And there's going to be a lot of people in these situations, if they occur, that are going to say it's game over for the crypto space. And if it is game over, well, it's got to make these moves first and then further decline thereafter. But if something of the following occurs, and let me just change this time frame out so like weekly chart, and get a different Litecoin with a different line without the lines on it. And I'll use the Litecoin on Poloniex. But if the situation were to occur where Bitcoin goes to 3, and pretty much the entire crypto space will go down as well, that you just may see something like that happen. And if that's the case, people would be saying the game's over. It's it. It's done. Especially for the people that are down 60, 70, 80 plus % on their portfolio because of the extreme volatility this market has. Let me say that again. The extreme volatility this market has. So then, on the situation, if price correction is correct here, what would a bull market look something like thereafter? And for doing such, we can already see what happened here with this Litecoin. This thing's got the big potential of having big moves. So having something like this, maybe final washout scare, this could be normal. This could be very, very normal for something like this to take place. But trying to predict its movements is probably even harder to do than predicting March Madness tournament brackets. For they say that's impossible to do, and this pretty much is too. But we're just trying to get the general idea. And a lot of this is getting the weak out of the market, so the weak hands, if you will. But I've seen markets have movements like this a lot. The 18 average would start to go sideways around here, and then it would be up to the races. As we've seen a lot of stuff like this happen before with so many different cryptos. And I'm going to finish this off by showing one alternate coin. And a lot of the altcoins have bearish or neutral or just choppy, difficult setups. And when I say choppy, difficult, that means it's not worth playing. There's no major edge that I can see. This has got a very interesting situation. And actually, Nexus, I do want to talk about another one after Nexus, actually, but this is 4 consecutive days, and which the price action digested this rally by playing the 18 average of highs to such. That's relatively a nice looking pattern. I mean, there's you can see that the trades in here, this is where you really can see big differences in the bid-ask book when I see movements like this with the opens gapping. When they gap up so much, that tells me that if last trade was 26.05 and then it trades next at 26.3, there's like it could be like a good 1-2% difference between the bid-ask when you see movements, because you see continuous ones like from here to here, like this last trade, like 259 something, and then 256 something. Some of the codes can have some not so fun bid-ask, and as a trader myself, when I see that, unless I really don't mind getting that at worst premium price to either buy or sell. If I see a spot where, say, it's to buy 253 to sell 250, and I want to buy, I'll try to put a bid in the 250ish number, see if it'll go through. And if I want to sell, I'll try to sell closer to the 253 and see if a buyer or seller will come to me in those situations. But this pattern in here, though, it's really an interesting one. Now, if you get a situation where the entire crypto space goes down because Bitcoin falters, this could very easily fall with the ride as well. But this level that it's at now, I can't stress how big it is. And the range for it is where it's here. There's a little bit more resistance at the 278 handle. Then again at around 285 up to, well, this high and towards here. It's had a lot of the support all near this key line. But if this thing is ready to go, just like we've seen with the March rally where this went from 158 up to over 420 so fast, that's not an uncommon thing on the break of resistance. So if you're fast enough, it's an interesting gamble buying around 302, 303, 304 because when it's had big moves before. A lot of the cryptos do, but it's a nice setup breaking this level of resistance. Okay. The last coin I want to talk about is Zen. Because you had this move, it rallied all the way back down, but what's it done since? Nice green candle up, and then it finished today on Friday with nice green candle up. I've already talked about this major level of resistance. The potential it has for breaking it, well, it'd be phenomenal. But since the big price correction down, you can see the cup formation within here, the price. You break this level of resistance and nice leg higher. Now it's back to this correctionary band, and maybe it might correct more bullishly and go down to 484, but this got a nice setup still after it's had its price move. And again, the potential this has on the break, it's, if you see them before, if you look at every single rally this have, including this one so far, it's continuously going higher. What happened in April? Just like this one, continuously going higher. And this one in here in December, it tripled its price, but many green candles up, one decent consolidation, another really nice leg higher. How about one day going 142 to 480? It's done better than triple in a day in its history. So the potential on the situations on the break for where price could be, well, if we're talking the 550 handle, it wouldn't surprise me if it does go to like over 1,000, or if it doubles, triples this number. Wouldn't surprise me the least. Okay. Well, then just one more quick thing about when you have a situation like this, you have the big move higher, it corrects majorly through price, and within the 18 you can see it corrected very well and successfully. It's made the statement that this rally before is real. So thus now we have the 18 starting to rise. If this thing falters within the 18 in a time frame sort of like the 3 hour, the hour would probably be the best. But if you see it faltered well below the 18 of lows, without this with this making a lower high to here, then and of course it's a break below this level of support too, by the way. So maybe even using, instead of using that, just 478. If this area, if it price corrects down to such and shows weakness because it's made this rally attempt statement, if something like that were to fail, where you go from point low, which is like the 342 handle, to point high, which is over 600, to point correctionary price low, 400, and then you go lower high, and you go failed breakout, now you're starting to talk about going back to where you came from. And at best, maybe make a nice higher low at around 360 something. Because the statement has been made that this is reverting the trend. All right, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.